Okay, well, it's almost the end of 2025. It's December 30th, Tuesday, 2025. This is 2 hours behind, so it's 1:30 in the afternoon. And I thought I'd do just a little bit of recap, catch up. I haven't did a video for at least a month, and I'm just constantly busy, tired, sick. I work nonstop at documenting this horrific crime against humanity, and that recording I just my granddaughter recently lost her phone for probably the 5th time, something happening to her phone the 5th time this year. And so I had to finagle to get some phone service put on an old phone. And so while I was waiting for her to pick up, the phone had a combination of my husband's it was an old phone my husband used, and I had her phone number transferred, and so it had some of her data on it and his, and I had noticed that there were a bunch of voicemails, and I was being nosy. I thought that maybe they were my spouse's, and they ended up being my granddaughter's, and she's 18 years old, and that's she's enduring the same playbook as myself and her mother, and it makes me just sick to listen to those messages on her voicemail, because these people have been in our lives manipulating and conspiring and destroying our lives since I was little. I believe that I was born into this modernized clandestine MKUltra, and and I can prove it. And so I'm going to give you an example. I'm just about ready to make some posts. I live in the state of Minnesota, and I'm going to try to do my best to not jump around and not make this very long, but with all the fraud and corruption that is being nationalized with Minnesota, I have been able to trace it all back to being a targeted individual, finding my entire family on the OFAC watch list. Actually, I think I'm going to start off by reading this important email. Let's see. Let me have 1 second to find it. Where'd it go? Okay. How it works. Max and cyber torture. Copy and share to the world. What is cyber torture and how the UN addresses it? The United Nations has recognized cyber torture as a human rights issue that involves using advanced tech like direct energy weapons to cause harm, including implants, both physically and mentally. The UN's Human Rights Office has a set of documents that highlight how this form of torture works, what kind of tech is being used, and the severe impact on victims. They are also taking complaints and trying to get more data out there. Even though some people sometimes blame the UN for not doing enough, in reality, they need folks to collect and share this data so it can be addressed. Network surveillance and biometric exploitation. An 8-year investigation. Approximately 8 years ago, I began documenting anomalous elements appearing across internet networks, which I discovered was alarming convergence of radio frequency signals and network traffic in my environment that should not have been present, including signatures from multiple military contracts. Cyber torture. No one talks about it because they are gatekeepers. And, I didn't open that link here. I won't open that link. So, packet sniffing and network analysis. I started using packet sniffer tools that can detect if devices have been implanted in your body by monitoring the network communications. The global gold standard for this analysis is called Wireshark. However, Wireshark has been modified so that the resolve addresses are no longer readily visible to users. These addresses now appear mixed with legitimate data mining traffic from advertising networks. Detection methodology. To conduct your own scan using Wireshark, you can run it in promiscuous mode, I'm not sure what that word is, and relocate to a radio frequency zone. Ensure you have adequate power supply, then power up and begin recording. I recommend experimenting with Wireshark at home multiple times to become familiar with the process. If Wireshark proves unstable, you need to use a snort, which can pull back up everything on the network. However, be aware the network restrictions may be impossible if authorities detect you're conducting this type of surveillance. The body as currency, digital identity, and DNA exploitation. Some of these implants are being utilized within digital identity frameworks where they generate income. How? Through your body movement, body motion, and your DNA. Your DNA is unique to you, and your DNA is worth millions of dollars. Targeted individuals, a topic most people avoid discussing, typically come from very rare genetic families. I am one of those rare genetic families. I represent the maternal trunk for over 40% of the European populations. My genetic origin traced to the Arctic, specifically the Sami people, who represent the highest census population of my haplogroup, the Nagoya Protocol Gap. Canada, the United States, Russia have not signed into the Nagoya Protocol. What is Nagoya? Nagoya Protocol pertains to DNA research and profit sharing. Countries that haven't signed this agreement or have signed with reservations have shared in the profits from collecting, modifying, editing, and selling genetic data to pharmaceutical companies, body area networks, and academic complicity. In reality, we are dealing with universities that are teaching body area network implants across the world. These are being framed as tools for private health monitoring. Universities don't teach it unless there's profit in it and demand for it. So where is the demand? Dead peasants' insurance and financial incentives. Let me repeat that. Dead peasants' insurance and financial incentives. There's something called dead peasants' insurance, also known as corporate-owned life insurance, co-pays, and group insurance. There are different types of worker compensation board insurance, workplace life insurance policies take out on employees without their knowledge. It becomes incredibly easy to utilize these devices without informed consent. You can order them directly to your door without needing a specific special license. They're marketed for gaming purposes, but they can be implanted in your neighbor, modified, and used to collect data through advertising beacons. Once you collect the data, you can distribute it for profit or take out patents on it. Patents, profit, and soft kill operations. For the people with rare DNA who are being exploited, the real profits come from patents. The exploiters don't want you to share the patents or the data, so it is easier to engage in soft kill tactic missions, impairment through environmental swapping with technologies like infrasound, vibroacoustic disease, and Havana syndrome. Infrasound can cause vibroacoustic disease, overall body damage that can generate artificially. This is also known as Havana syndrome. Authorities decide to rebrand vibroacoustic disease as Havana syndrome and eliminate the cardiac testing protocol that would show thickening of the left ventricle wall of the heart. And there's much more. And then here is a list of medical devices and the owners. I've seen all of these. I was running Wireshark back when it was still liable. RFID tracking. And I'm going to post this on my X channel, Twitter X. Sensor and instrumentation. Why automotive MAC addresses appear in body area networks. Wireless body area networks, DNA data. Modern vehicles are no longer isolated machines. You know what, I'm not going to read all the rest of this, but I'm going to post it on, again, on my X channel. And there is currently no government oversight for private military contractors in Canada, and essentially anyone with the means can hire them. Insurance company, pension groups, and other entities can hire private military contractors and use advanced technologies without anyone knowing. There is no oversight, there's no complaint body, and there's no investigations because there's simply no laws against the use of direct energy weapons in Canada. So that was written by my friend Bobby in Canada. So again, I'll just quickly try to just recap some of what's been happening this last month. You know, I'm actually feeling pretty rough. I'm just been getting just hammered with infrasound and radio frequency and you know, direct energy weapons. And here, this was just a collage that I put together today. This is what's happening in my environment today. You know, I have beacons coming in from all over the world. You know, these 4 are off the coast of Africa, which is the United States Space Force, the Royal Air Force Base off the coast of Africa, Ascension Island. You know, they come from private residences all over the world. You know, I've got the United Kingdom there, and I think that's St. Petersburg, Russia, and there's 6 coming from New Mexico Military Training Center. And just showing this grid photo of, these are all weaponized, monetized, like mobile cell towers, and they are in every community all across the United States, you know, and not limited to, I'm sure they're in Canada and wherever. And this is my house, and I'm surrounded by people that think they have a right to kill me for a profit, and they're, you know, they're human trafficking scumbags. And you know, I'm being swamped with you know, devices that are picking up and selling my biomedical data. So here's an example. You know, I have a hot spot in my environment right there, and I was able to, okay, I'll just read it. On 12/29/25 at 4:38 p.m., hotspot A209, you know, intrudes my environment. It had 5 observations. I put, it biohacks my non-consensual bioinformatic body data energy. It was sold to France, and it works in reverse to Beijing, China. No rule of law, so lucrative you can't trust a living soul. Family, friends, neighbors, leaders are all making bank on these slow kill profit missions. And, you know, this, I was able to put that MAC address in Shodan and show that it only had 1 global match in the whole wide world. And again, it went to France, and they use a masking system. So all of this data here is basically, you know, their human code biohacking your information, and the reverse was Beijing. And, you know, there's a lot going on Twitter right now regarding all of the fraud being exposed in Minnesota. And here I go, you know, and the pictures don't show up very well, but, you know, I showing that, you know, I was hit with, whacked with direct energy weapons. They actually went all the way down by my rump. It's embarrassing to try to film and document. And then, you know, this was my arm in the middle of the night, and, all the radio frequency from these surrounding Wi-Fi networks and whatever intruding my environment, it has lethal levels of EMP or electromagnetic radiation. And then I've got these psychopath neighbors that have these beams. My grandkids have been here a lot lately, and they're sitting on the couch, and that's beaming a block away through my window like that. That picture was taken through a window. Actually, it was a very hazy night. So, and again, look at, I have how many beacons that is too? I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 coming in from the United States Space Force. I think there was one over there by Jakarta, the New Mexico Military Training Center. And here's one coming from South Korea. And then, I barbarically wake to cut hair. See, they're shaving all the hair off this side of my head. It's just disgusting. They cut, they dye, they razor, they shave my hair and eyebrows, and it just comes out in heaps too. So, I won't be silent. And here, isn't a good example. This Nick Shirley is getting all this attention for exposing the crime and corruption in Minnesota. And, we've been screaming about it for years. So here's an example. I says, all money laundering and corruption fraud schemes tied to targeted individuals. So way back in 2014, as you can see, I live way over here, but I had this device coming into my environment over here. And here's my grandkids' house, and it was coming from this house. This Nate Gear was